You're listening to the Experience Matters podcast, powered by Officium Labs. Each episode will focus on one challenge, talk to two experts, and offer three innovative solutions to propel you forward. It's the 1-2-3 punch to accelerate your customer experience results. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Experience Matters podcast. We have a phenomenal episode for you today. I know it's been a little while since we've dropped an episode, but let me make this promise to you. It'll be worth the wait. We have some big news, maybe the biggest news that Officium has ever had. In fact, this news is so big that we have a guest host for you today. I'm going to welcome on the stage with me, John Pompei, our Chief Customer Officer. Hello, John.
What's up, Nate? Happy to be here, man.
Yeah, we have been rolling. We've been busy bees. We might look a little tired under the eyes this week because we've been working hard over here at Officium, and we're about to drop some news on you all. It's not just for us. I mean, this is for the CX world. We got some big things going on. We've had such a big, audacious mission inside of Officium of creating incredible customer experiences, and this is going to accelerate our ability to do that big time. So thank you for joining us for this news. And John, take it away as our guest host. Thank you all so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Nate. Hey, Jonathan, how you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. How's it going, man?
Yeah, going good, going good. I mean, to think about a little bit over 2 years ago, you and Scott McCabe come up with the concept of creating Officium Labs. Yeah. And really exciting week last week. And, let's talk about the what.
Let's do it. So we started our mission at Officium to really rethink and disrupt the CX industry. Back in, I think it was 2019, Sarb.com did a study, and it showed that $339 billion is lost a year because of poor customer service and poor customer experience at all the brands around the world. And then if you look kind of further into that, what you see is that roughly from Statista, $220 billion is being spent on BPOs and experience providers. So when you look at the numbers, as a startup founder, I look at these numbers. You're spending $220 billion to lose $339 billion. So basically, you're spending $2 to lose $3, right? So it doesn't make business sense. And this is why CX is broken. This is why we felt like, hey, let's disrupt this. And when Scott and I thought about it as we were walking through the streets of San Francisco, we were like, hey, how do we disrupt this? We said, actually, what we do is we flip it completely on its head. We change the conversation. So rather than being about, hey, how do we optimize cost? How do we hit CSAT? How do we hit SLA? And those traditional types of metrics, we started talking about, well, how do you think about the customer journey? How do you transition from a cost center to a profit center mentality? How do you prove with math the ROI of CX? And really thinking through in different ways. And then as we kind of went through that process, what we found is, in addition to those kind of macro level disruptive changes, customers were still struggling with, how do I manage my workforce? How do I flexibly staff for those spikes or launches or unexpected issues, right? And so we really started to bring together what our core mission was going to be around delivering amazing customer experiences. And that's when our trademark service stack came out with Connect at the top, which is our on-demand customer service support arena, where we help customers scale up and down based off of the volumes that they have. We have on-demand agents and so forth. Some people call it Gig CX. Some people call it, the AWS of human capital. Whatever you call it, is you got a customer who needs help, and you need to make sure that there's a qualified, best-in-class person to do that, right? And that's the Connect space. And then what supports the Connect space is our Transform business. Is when you really look at end-to-end solution, what we felt was missing in the market was the CX framework. And so we created our maturity model, which allows any company in the world to be able to look at how is their operation, how is their framework, how is their customer journey looking, and where are they? Are they basic? Are they core? Are they standard? Are they best in class? And what are they missing so they can get to that North Star that they want to get to become best in class, right? And then the last part of the triangle is what we call our innovate. But it's really looking at tools and technologies, whether it's our own tools like the workforce management tool, Work Forward, that we have, whether it's other tools, partners like Natomi with AI and automation and so forth. But it's really looking at all those technology capabilities and thinking about how can we improve the agent experience with Agent AI Assist? How can we improve the customer experience with relevant NLP bots, not just KV bots? And how can we improve the service experience with looking at language translation? So we started in the first 6 to kind of 12 months to really build this out. And one underlying mission that we had inside the company was, hey, let's help change the economic landscape of the world. And what I mean by that is, I grew up in a small town in Texas, 7,000 people, not a lot of economic opportunity there. And so I left. The 5 places I've lived in my adult life are all tech hubs, right? Because that's where the jobs are and that's where the economic opportunity is. And so one of the things that we wanted to do with Officium is by creating Officium supporting the service stack is having workers from anywhere in the world can plug into the Officium network, and they can live where they want to live, and then they get to have this amazing opportunity to work on things that they're passionate about. So we started that journey 2.5 years ago, right, John? It's been an amazing journey, 30 plus customers. The way that customers tell us they value us is repeat business, revenue, all of that is just, it's really going gangbusters. It's amazing. So getting on to the announcement for the 19th, which is what everyone's kind of listening to me to wait to hear, is, we started about 5 or 6 months ago, and we did a vision cast into the future. And we really thought about where do we want to be in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and what is it going to take for us to continue to deliver our vision. And what we quickly identified is that in order for us to grow and scale from where we were going to need some assistance and some help. And I think that was a moment of reflection for us, where one of our core values is about being deliberate. And so as we were thinking about how to be deliberate, we wanted to make sure that we set up our employees for the future, that we set up our customers for the future, and we were able to expand the service stack umbrella of value to more and more customers and clients. And so I'm happy to announce today that Officium Labs has been acquired by Arise Virtual Solutions, or a lot of people in the industry will know them as Arise. They have a wonderful tagline: be there, be aware, and be essential. And for us, our tagline being the future of service, and thinking through where they were going with their mission and where we're going with our mission, we just saw this beautiful dovetail and this beautiful alignment on how we're going to get there, and delighting the customers, continuing to be constantly curious, driving that profit center value, thinking about inclusion and shared prosperity as our team. We just felt there's such a great culture fit, such a good business fit. So that's the news, John. I'm happy to announce Officium Labs is now part of the Arise family.
Outstanding. Exciting for sure. The value of those two brands coming together, Officium and Arise, is pretty powerful when you think about it. Jonathan, you talk so much about, the why, right? Yep. Why Officium was created to begin with. And you talked about like the underlying drivers of moving towards the success that we had. And now coming together with Arise, the future of service, right? It's all about the future of service and where we can really take it. And so let's drill into that a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about, what are those 2 to 3 things that Officium brings to Arise?
Well, I think what's kind of cool is anytime that you go through, if you haven't been through an acquisition, anytime you go through an acquisition, I think the best acquisitions are when you have companies that come together. And when they come together, they can do more. I know it's a little bit cheesy, but that 1 + 1 = 3 is really apropos, for this acquisition. We're the gaming experts. We've been working in gaming for 2.5 years. We understand gaming back and forth. Most of the folks inside of Officium have been in gaming for 10, 15, 20 years, and so we know about it. And if you think about the future of gaming, you look at the CAGR. Gaming is going to be $1 trillion business before the mid-century point. Huge opportunity for scale and growth. But what's even cooler about gaming is it was one of the first digital footprints out there where you can prove profit center-based capabilities. And so we kind of bring that gaming expertise to the table. The other area is, in our transform product and with the service tech methodology, by proving out the profit center based capabilities, by proving out the entire customer journey and looking at our maturity model and helping customers become better versions of their own service or their own product is something special that we bring to the table. And then I think the other thing is any new company that's starting, we got a lot of fresh ideas. We're thinking about what's the next generation look like and so forth. I think that's what we bring to the table. I think the next question you're going to ask me, I'm going to go ahead and answer is, why Arise, right? Right. I'm just going to go down that path because there's such positivity on both sides. Arise is, I believe, 27 years now. They invented essentially remote work from home in the services area. They have this wonderful mission that talks about changing the way people work. And that aligns so much with what we do. So they have, if you look on their website, you can see they have, 70,000 plus different, workers or service partners that work from home. They've got this just decades of experience of how to operate, how to scale. They have products, technologies, capabilities, and so forth. And so the cool thing about Arise is that they love gaming and they're interested in it, but they have solid sectors in hospitality. You look at tourism, you look at finance, you look at other sectors, right? They got amazing sectors that we can learn from them on how to continue to scale our gaming business, as well as they've even started some of their own businesses in consulting with e-learning as a service and digital companion and some other cool technology things. And so when you think about where Arise is going, you almost think about it as what is the future of service, and Arise is already building that. And so there's this natural alignment where our cool, I like to think of them as cool, but our cool and fresh ideas are coupling really well with this well-seasoned, well-mature, but yet agile, buyer or now parent company, right?
Yeah.
And so we're super excited because we think there's just so much that can come to the table, not to mention their talent. Like we've got inside of our company, 20, 30 people, right? Arise is magnitudes larger, and they have an enormous amount of talent that will help us to grow and scale. And in turn, hopefully we'll help them with our new ideas to scale too. So I think it's just the perfect, I don't know if they still use the word marriage when it comes to these things, but it's like the perfect marriage where like we both bring amazing things to the table. And because of that, we can come together and support each other to deliver a unified future mission. And that takes us to like Arise. If you look at their core mission, to be there, be aware, be essential. And they also are very eco-friendly. So they're very efficient when they think about the environment. So, when you think about it from a core values standpoint, there was just so much that aligned and made a lot of sense. So I think it's, what we bring to the table, but what they bring to the table. I won't be surprised in, a year, 2 years, 3 years that Arise. They're already on the peak performance.
Yep.
Kind of, the matrix of one of the best 2 or 3 in the world. So I won't be surprised if they become number one, and us along with them, supporting them, being part of their key successes. And so we're super excited about that.
Yeah, for sure. We've been talking about this now, and so many things that you just mentioned there just really resonate. And we know that there's more than 2 or 3 things on both sides. There's just so much value that's going to be brought together. And at the end of the day, clients and customers alike are going to benefit from it. One thing you mentioned when you were talking about Officium was really changing the economic landscape of the world. And I know personally what that means to you. And so, one of the things about Arise that really aligns up to that as well is what they've done to create this whole service partner ecosystem and enable people to create their own companies and build businesses from the ground up. And so, talk a little bit about how, beyond the customer benefit and the CX benefit, just like giving back to the world, how you see the value of what Officium wanted to do and what Arise has been doing and what that means to you.
Well, I think if you think about the name of Officium, so it's Latin for to serve and to help. And so when we built the business, it was always threefold, right? It was to serve, our employees, to serve our clients, and in additionally to serve our communities, right? And so when you think about those threefold, coming from a large family, so there's 10 kids in my family, right? And we grew up in small community in the country of Texas, if you will. You can appreciate a lot of things growing up that I might not have had, that other people did, and having been on both sides of the spectrum, you can also appreciate like what that little help, that first step into something greater economically is. I remember my first step was when I got my first job in college at a call center. Now, most people won't say, "Oh, that's your first step." Yeah, that was my first step, because I went from making $4 an hour at the Dairy Queen to making $12 an hour, going to college, working at the call center. And so for me, that was my first taste in understanding like how technology and how leveraging technology and services can change people's life. And that first step then led to the next step, eventually to the step of me becoming the CEO of Officium, right, and building this company. And so I always thought, when I wanted to start the company, I talked with Scott, the co-founder, and I said, we need to make this to be a purposeful endeavor. This isn't just about making money. If we want to make money, we can do that, but that doesn't really have a ton of meaning to me. And so we wanted to make sure that like the core values that we had aligned with supporting the local community. And so what essentially it means is that, let's pretend I'm back in Texas and I want to stay living, in the small town I grew up in, which is, there's definitely nothing wrong with that. There's wonderful amounts of people that live in small towns across America, including most of my family still. And so if I would have had an opportunity to build my own business, but be able to stay near my family or stay in the community that I grew up in and give back to the community, like I wouldn't have had to live in Seattle or Boston or other areas. I mean, those are great places to live, but I would have been able to bring that economic value just back to my community. So if you think about hundreds upon thousands of these people in local communities across the United States and across the world, by giving people the opportunity to build their own business, you bring sustainability to these communities. And that sustainability, it's not just for like the people that have the businesses, right? It's for the next generation, right? And the next generation after that. If we can create kind of where economic prosperity is ubiquitous across the world and it's not location specific, then we create kind of a more balanced planet, more balanced cultures, more balanced work style, and we strengthen, the general communities, and maybe even if you want to think of communities as families, you strengthen those family units and those family bonds. So those things were very important to Scott and I. And so when we started Officium, that's why we started this kind of network of workers that could come wherever they wanted to live. And then they would, we'd be able to provide them the potential work. And I think with the Rise, they had already been down the path on this, much further down the path than we were. So I always say that, we didn't invent this, and we didn't know a Rise at the time. But, great minds and great thinkers come up with similar ideas across the world, right? And they came up with this idea years before us. And so that it's much more mature and much more developed. And so they have this same concept of bringing that economic prosperity and that capability to where people want to live and with their service partner ecosystem. And so it is one of the things that attracted Scott and I to it, because in business, there's always opportunities out there.
Yeah.
But you want to find opportunities where your core values are met, and then business success and business opportunity can be achieved too. At least that's how Scott and I think. And so we felt like, again, working with Arise and being acquired by them, we were able to take care of our people, take care of our clients or customers, and be able to continue down this path of supporting local communities.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, it really plays into it's more than a business decision.
That's right.
It's about the lifestyle, and not the lifestyle of those in the company, but the lifestyle of those that are outside that we can create those opportunities for. And that's really what drives the excitement. And certainly, the value of bringing, Officium, who's been thinking about the future of service, and Horizon has been building these capabilities for 27 plus years together. Yeah. It's really going to be an exciting time going forward. And so any parting words for those out there that are, one, thinking about or an entrepreneur themselves and wanting to really start something, but two, just anything for the employees of Officium and the employees of Arise as we go to bring this stuff together?
Well, I think for entrepreneurs, I think what's super interesting is oftentimes I hear entrepreneurs wanting to build $1 billion business, right? And there's nothing wrong with wanting to build $1 billion business. But one of the things Scott and I talked about is we never really set a goal to build $1 billion business. What we set a goal was to build a sustainable business that would serve those three areas that I mentioned earlier. And so a sustainable business could be $1 billion business, could be $1 million, it could be somewhere in the middle, right? And so I would encourage entrepreneurs to look at the macroeconomic landscape of the world and realize that a 10 to 15 to $20 million to $100 million business is a really good business. And so don't try to shoot for the moon all the time. Now, if you get to the moon, great. But try to focus on something that there's a problem that needs to be fixed. You have a solution that can fix the problem, and that your solution is scalable and profitable over time. Those are the three things that I would give advice for entrepreneurs. And then if you focus on that, the business is going to come, the sustainability will come. And if you want the $1 billion payday, then continuing to scale and continuing to grow, you have to innovate. Usually most of the $1 billion companies that exit, the thing that they started with isn't the thing that they ended with on the $1 billion kind of platform, right?
Yeah.
And so you just have to, they also innovated and adjusted and pivoted and so forth. And so just be thinking through that. But a lot of times entrepreneurs give up too early because they're like, oh, I can't achieve $1 billion. Well, it's okay. You don't have to achieve $1 billion. So that's kind of on the entrepreneur side. There's so many talented entrepreneurs out there, so many diverse entrepreneurs with different ideas. There's individuals out there that will come up with things that I never even thought of. In the services arena, like I said, it's a 222. Now it's probably going to be a $500 billion, industry at mid-century point. And there's going to be so much opportunity in services. So go build a business, go do something you're passionate about. It's okay if it doesn't work the first time. Nobody knows this really, but my first startup failed. I had a startup. It was a simulation video game company for baseball. And I did it in 2004. It was 10 years before the market was ready. It just failed and it went down. But I learned a lot from that experience. So then the next time that I wanted to do a startup, I had those learnings to go kind of to the next endeavor and so forth. I would also say another piece of advice I would give is a lot of folks want to jump directly into being startup founders, which there's nothing wrong with that. But there's also a lot to be learned on spending a decade inside of an enterprise too.
Yeah.
Because you really learn how a company, how it runs, how it operates. When I was 21, I set this goal that I wanted to be the CEO of my own company by the time I was 41, right? Now, in order to do that, I could have started a company when I was 22 and yay, I'm the CEO. But I was actually, no, I need to spend 10 to 15 years with the big brands to learn how a company runs and, how to market things and how to sell things and how to do the finance bits and, the operations. And so by the time, I was 41 is when I started Officium. I was 41. I had 20 years of experience at Microsoft, Symantec, Autodesk, these larger companies, right? And so it taught me, it was like a 20-year education that prepared me for this kind of founding role. And so it doesn't mean everybody needs to go through that, but also if you're wondering hey, should I do the enterprise thing first before I do a startup founder? There's nothing wrong with that because you'll learn an amazing amount of stuff in the startup area. Now for the Officium and the Arise folks, for the Officium folks, you just have to say thank you, right? Basically, we started Officium with a $150,000 loan, with 4 or 5 people just believing in me and Scott, saying, "Hey, we're going to take this risk." We were almost with no customers at that time, right? We're going to take this risk, and we're going to put our families' livelihoods in the hands of Scott and Jonathan. And then as we kind of grew and scale, and we were fortunate because we became profitable in month 2, more and more people believed in this small little startup called Officium, right? And so they helped us build the business. There's a kind of a thing that I like to say, that customers build the company, but employees are the heart of the company. Yeah. So if you don't have your heart, then nothing else works, right? And so really, to the Officium, employees and other members that have worked as part of the Officium greater ecosystem, like, just a heartfelt thanks to them for believing in our mission, for putting their energy into it and so forth, and putting us into a position to where a company as reputable and as large as Arise would be super interested in what we're bringing to the table. That's amazing to do in like 2.5 years. Everybody else is telling me it's amazing, so now I do believe what people are telling me. It is pretty amazing what we've done,
for sure,
as a team. And then to the Arise team, I mean, we're just super excited to be able to learn from them. 27 years, hundreds and hundreds of talented people, proven processes, proven systems. I mean, obviously their brand is incredible. You look across, they invented the work from home. It's insane, right? Like, they invented it. And to be able to be joining them, I akin this to, like, if I was a software developer and Microsoft wanted to buy me, right? Or Amazon, like somebody that invented something wanted to buy you. That's what I akin it to. That's like how powerful of an acquisition or a story I think this is for Officium, and we're fortunate to have the Arise team. And then I think that, to the Arise team, we met the team earlier today, right? There was like hundreds and hundreds of welcomes. So thank you for all the welcomes. And we're just excited to, put our shoulders together and our minds together and put our shoulders, as my mom used to say, a little elbow grease in there and make some magic happen. We're just pretty excited about it. So those are kind of, I guess, the parting words I would say. I would say that in a way that they're parting in the sense that this podcast is probably going to end soon, but they're just beginning in the sense that we're about to do some amazing stuff together and continuing to, like, revolutionize and reimagine CX and really drive significant value, again, for employees, for communities, and for our clients. So super excited.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you basically just took my whole wrap up, Jonathan, because I was going to say, when Nate's running this, he talks about the 1, 2, 3 punch, and it's very clear, the one reason, I shouldn't say the one reason, but the one meaningful part that you opened up with is why Officium, why you and Scott really created it to begin with. And then, when you think about the second punch, bringing Arise and Officium together and the magic that's creating, and the magic that's creating for our clients, for their customers, and then for the service partners out there that have these opportunities to create these businesses, So I think of the 1, 2, 3 punch right there. 1, 2, 3, And so, as Nate always says, when he wraps up, he's like, let's make experiences that matter. So Officium and Arise, let's go make some experiences that matter.
Thanks for listening to the Experience Matters podcast, your 1, 2, 3 punch to overcome CX challenges. For more information on making experiences that matter, visit www.officiumlabs.io or connect with us on LinkedIn.